dental, vision, the usual stuff we talked about, but since it's budget time, we really need to get off in the weeds with this. And part of the reason that we look at this is what we're doing with our budget and what the county contributes, what the employees contribute, and not really looking that much at anybody else, and just our own business. But what we've also had to transfer from the general fund to the B&I fund since 2019. Just to keep our benefits package on the health insurance solvent. 10/31/2019, $400,000. 2/25/2020, $700,000. 10/14/2020, $400,000. 3/31/2021, $600,000. And we've had this discussion for the last, 4 years about this, that one of these days we're going to look up and we're not going to be able to pay this. And we had talked about last year, the employee's contribution being a little bit more. So we did that. What was it, $25, if I'm not mistaken, Dwayne? We did a $25 extra bump from the employee side. The county side stayed the same. And we're just at the point now where we can't keep doing what we're doing and look to the future and see if this is still going to be able to be a viable option as far as our health insurance is concerned. But I know that Greg and Leon and I have been here long enough to have these discussions. I don't think David has, and I don't think Bruce has, but I'm pretty sure that Bruce is aware now, since he's been here really about 4 years, 105. But David, this is going to be new for you, so it's going to be something you have to look at and consider.
Okay.
Okay. So did y'all receive your attachments? Leon and David?
Do what, brother?
Did you receive your attachments to this meeting?
Yeah.
Did you look over them?
I've got it. We have it. I have it.
I don't have it.
It's on your email.
It was emailed to you, yeah.
I didn't see it though. I'll double check.
Maybe get one of your office folks there to look and see, because you're going to need it, believe me.
Okay.
Anyway, going back to this thing, it just seems like it comes back to haunt us every time we turn around. So what are we going to do? And my main concern is working on budget now, trying to get this worked out to where, if we can have a balanced budget, that'd be the berries. If we can't, we're going to have a deficit budget. What's it going to look like? And is this going to play a big part of even considering having a deficit budget? I hope not. But there it is again. Nobody likes a deficit budget. That's except Standard & Poor's and Dun & Bradstreet, I think. At least they understand the concept. But I know that our taxpayers don't understand it, even if we do. So what are we going to do with this? My main point is let's study up on it now and get your concerns registered, at least what are our options for the future going into this new budget, especially. It's going to be a commissioner's court decision. Yeah, I get to write the budget, but I get to write the budget with input. It's real simple. So where do you want to go with this? I hope you've had the chance to look over it. And Dwayne, you're here. Can you walk up and help me just a little bit? Or on the auditor's side,
My job with the budget, Jay's the budget officer. Commissioner's Court votes to adopt the budget, and I have to do estimates for expenditures and revenue statutes. That's my duty. We talked about this about on the cloud that's always over the budget is the health insurance. And, in the last, I mean, this isn't these guys' problem. This problem was going on before they came in office. I think there was a $2.5 million to the general fund. We were able to write that off. 3 years ago, we wrote that off. And like I was told Jay before, the last 6 years, if the benefit and insurance fund was solid, our general fund would have another $6 million. And I think the problem is, now it's got money and it's cruising along pretty good. At the end of the year, and it's January, February, and March, that's when it gets hit hard. They met the deductible, they're spending their money, and then those claims get paid in the spring of the year. I know last year they had done a $350,000 increase the county and the employee side. At the same time, it brought in, according to Gallagher's numbers, to increase $350,000 increase premiums last year. And, I recommend, and I got 3 options. Our options are, like I told Jay, we could budget for the county contribution, employee contribution, that could be changed with, or do like I've done the last couple of years. Dedicate, like last year, in this year's budget, I pulled $1 million in a contingency fund to cover health insurance, and I've done moved that over there now. I mean, that was a large part of our deficit last year, was the money that was budgeted. This fund should really have 35% of its expenditures in the fund balance. So this fund should probably have, and ideally, it should have $2 million worth of cash at all times.
Yep.
But then, like I said, this is all decision.
So what we considered was, we try to get raises every year. Leon, I can't see you. You there? There you are. We try to give raises every year to folks. Sometimes just the cost of living raise, sometimes it's a little bit beyond that, 3% or 5%. And this year we could bump it up higher than that. But the outcome would be the employee's contribution is going to go higher on the insurance. And dependents, right? And hopefully it would offset the increase in the dependents cost with the raise, and there would still be some left over. And what we're looking at is some folks' family dynamics are different. They got the husband's working for the county, he's got a wife, and he's got 2 kids. Everybody's on it. So he gets a big raise, say a $3,000 raise per year. That'd be wonderful if we could pull something like that off. But probably with an increase in his contribution to his family side, he won't see a net at all. Maybe $200 a month. That's what he's going to actually see in his paycheck that actually goes to him. That's not everybody. That's probably about 135 people that are employed by the county. We've got, what now, Harold, almost 500 employees. About that.
I want to say it's just under 500, about 493.
93, yeah, okay. So you got, say, 135 employees that are going to take a pretty good whooping if we do it this way. And the other ones are gonna come out smelling great, with the raise. So if we want to continue giving the benefit package that we have in the cost, we're not looking at it like it's a Gallagher thing. That Gallagher does the shopping for us, puts the package together, and we get the best deal we can. And I think we've done well with them over the years. And I don't have a problem with it. What I have a problem with is the cost. And you look at any other entity, governmental entity, a school district, whatever, their costs are way, way more than ours. On the family side, contribution by an employee. And I'm not just, I know this sounds bad, I'm not just picking on them. I'm looking out for the county down the road. It looks bad when you start pulling money out of the general fund, well, out of fund balance, to the tune of $1 million or more a year. And that just cuts way off into a deficit. It's not good business. That's the best I can put it. But I wanted to bring it to your attention. It's going to be a decision by the commissioners. Court. How do you want to go about this? We can do a little bit this year, an extra $100 contribution by each employee, and that would help. Or we can go $200, and that might solve the problem for 5 years.
Employee or spouse?
Well, the employees are the ones that are making the contribution, but it's going to be toward the spouse or family.
$100 a month?
But if they get a $2,500 a year raise, so it's $1,200, that's going to go toward the contribution. The other $1,200 go in the pocket, theoretically. Anyway, like I said, we've been talking about this for over 4 years, and it comes back to haunt us every time. I'm just trying to, kind of like the cavalry, kind of head it off in the past before it gets worse.
And how much you talking about raising it is what, 50 a month now?
Well, we did, 25 last year, Wayne, was that it? It was a $25 increase, total increase last year.
For employees, it was $25 for employee only, $32 for employee and spouse, $23 for employee and children, $58 for employee and spouse.
Yeah. And that comes straight out of the employee's check.
Right.
If y'all do.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, sir.
Okay, as I
Yes, sir. Can
understand,
you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. As I understand it, Liberty County, if your employee and spouse, say, your deductible, Liberty County puts it in $1,500, correct?
That's correct. For the
And 1,200
employee only,
and $1,200 on employee only, is that correct?
no, it's 1,000 on employee only and 1,500 for employee and spouse or employee and family.
Okay, that's deductible.
That's the county's contribution toward the deductible, correct?
Correct.
And that amount rolls over. If you don't use it, it accumulates. So just let me say, and I told Leon this as well, but my sympathies are with the court because this is a very difficult thing to handle. Our employees don't make great salaries, so the benefits that are offered to our employees in the form of health insurance and retirement are really the attraction to working for Liberty County.
Amen.
So, and I think we all know that. But at the same time, the cost of the health insurance is just phenomenal. I mean, it's incredibly expensive. And I think all of our employees can see that whenever they get their pay stubs every pay period, where it shows what the county's contribution is toward their insurance. And it's a really big number. So my sympathies are with the court in trying to navigate what to do in this situation, because there's really, not a great answer. If you, if you give the employees a raise and then take it away from insurance premiums, then, you have effectively account to continue to go to the general fund to take out money to pay for all of the
Better.
And it doesn't seem to be that there's any
Kim, you're really breaking up
I
bad.
can't hear nothing she's saying.
Yeah.
did offer to me on yesterday was for all of the
Ms. Kim? Ms. Kim? Ms. Kim?
She's gone.
We lost her.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta go get on the roof of the house so we can hear you. Anyway. So that's the dilemma we're looking at. If we're gonna continue in this direction, we're going to require the employee's contribution to be higher, but we give a raise to offset that and still give enough money in the raise to show a true raise. We can do that. It's easily done. It's giving a raise is a heck of a lot easier than adding more bodies. Okay? I can just say, for instance, adding an employee to the sheriff's department. I'm not picking on Bobby because he's here, but that's $120,000 a person, even though their salary might be $50,000. But you look at the benefits package, the equipment that is required, it's in a car, things like this. You had a deputy sheriff, it's $120,000, no matter what you look at. Even on the precinct side, road and bridge, you had an employee. You're looking at, say, $22 an hour, whatever. But then you look at the benefits package, and then there's other things that go with it. It's not, that employee might be $70,000 or $75,000 before the day is over with, just due to what we contribute with the insurance side. And that this is business. It's not personal. We're working with taxpayer money. It's our job to do the best we can. And what are we going to do to be fair to everyone if we can be fair to everyone? And that's our goal. At the same token, be fair to the taxpayers as well. That's all I'm asking y'all to do. Look this over, come up with a decision. When it gets down to the day that we actually pass the budget, I don't want to be sitting in court fighting about it. Okay? That's why we have a workshop. We get this out in front of everybody, talk about it. We include it in the budget. We walk into court the day that we pass the budget, And hopefully we will without any problems, that it's done. It's important to get this out there though. Any questions?
So do you have an amount that you want to raise it per paycheck?
You should have received version 1.
Okay, well, I just want to go got it, but I'll look over it.
Okay. No, there wasn't any insurance adjustment there, but the raises were.
Talk about how much of the insurance we talked about raising it.
Hello,
But we had said earlier, preliminary budget.
Yeah, we got
can
one.
you hear me now, Judge?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm back maybe for a minute.
You got a real tall tree out there at your office?
It's piney woods, I do.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know what you all heard last.
Really none of it.
None of it. I don't know, maybe you heard me say that my sympathies are with you because it's a difficult thing that you're having to navigate.
Oh, my
Um,
son-
you know, because whenever you give the employees a raise and then take it away in the form of insurance premiums, that's a no-win for the employees. But if you don't raise the premiums for employees, then we continue to go to the general fund to try to fund this big expense that we have. So, it's between a rock and a hard spot that you guys are in every year after year, whenever we come back to look at this. And whenever I took office in 2006, our insurance deductible was $400. So in the 14 years that I've been in office, I've seen the deductible go from $400 to the current $3,000. But like Leon said, the county picks up the first either 1,000, depending on your level of coverage, or the first 1,500 of that deductible. So one option may be to alter the amount that the county picks up on the deductible side. To, maybe we look at reducing the amount that the county picks up and see, what effect that has on it. I don't know. I'm just offering that as a possible solution or an option to try to alleviate the problem, because I do agree that it's a problem and the expense is very, very high and it gets higher every year. And it's a tough thing to deal with. It's a tough decision to make, and it's not ever fun, whenever we have to raise the premiums or increase the deductible or lower the contribution the county's making, but the costs continue to escalate. And it gets to be a burden on the budget. I certainly understand that, but.
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
Okay, let me ask a question here, Jay. On these recommendations of medical, dental, and vision contributions, this is recommended, this process was brought to us by Gallagher,
Last year. This is what-
correct?
This is what y'all approved last year for the employee contributions and county.
Okay, this is what was approved last year, Dwayne?
Yes, last year.
Okay,
On page 1 is the contributions that were made. Page 2 has the number of employees we have in each plan.
yeah,
Employee only. Page 3 shows what on the lower right-hand column, each employee contributes to the county contributes to each type of plan. Just for reference, on page 4 in the top section, I put in the state of Texas employees to pay for the same type of coverage. So with
Well,
that,
we know one thing. If we were to, let's say we followed the footsteps of the state of Texas, those rates would be higher because the state of Texas has thousands and thousands and thousands of employees versus what we have. Our rates would be higher in my beliefs if we followed the footsteps of the state of Texas, due to the fact of the amount of employees that they have versus ours.
We're just looking for a benchmark, Leon, that's all.
I
Something-
understand that, but I understand that, Jay. But I'm putting that point out there that if we were to follow the footsteps that the state does, I believe in my heart that our rates would be a heck of a lot higher versus what the state of Texas is.
You're comparing apples to oranges. I'm sorry. Yeah, we realize the state of Texas has probably 100,000 employees, maybe more. I would say probably 500,000. And yeah, they're going to get a better deal on their insurance.
That's right.
But their contribution is compared to ours is quite. What we're looking at today is just going to tell us what direction to go. When we get version 2 of the budget written and released, we're going to give a bigger raise to employees to offset a bigger cost as far as their insurance coverage is for their spouse and family. What direction we want to go. We did 25, whatever it was last year, plus a bit more across the board. Do we want to go 100 this year, 200 this year?
That was I would like to suggest that, Jay. I think what probably might be a suggestion on my part is that we raise it $100 across the board.
I think that if y'all go with that, I would recommend employee rate, I'll go with 100. County,
Do what, Dwayne?
if y'all go with that rate, I would recommend, if y'all go with 100 for dependent coaches, I would recommend that on the county side to go up $100 also.
The what, Dwayne? You're breaking up.
And where the county had to add $100 too. Yeah, if the employees made 100, county, they have to add 100 too still.
Have a solvent.
So we're in that direction.
Yeah.
$100. employee by itself.
25 didn't do much for us last year.
We need to go to 140.
Would 100 because we have to add.
It
That would be too much.
depends on who all you want to include. It's coverages you want to tell them that too.
Everybody here realizes that we're going to have to go up on employees' contribution. Hopefully, it's not more than what we're going to give our hands a raise.
Well, that's,
I think go with $100.
But they would still be actually getting the rate.
yeah, technically, but then again, they might not see it.
They're still gonna get more money put into the retirement contribution.
Yeah, we're at the bottom line, it's just a show.
I mean, if y'all win, y'all need, I mean, that's y'all's decision on who y'all want. What covers y'all want.
Tell y'all what, This was just the first go round, okay? We're not making any decisions here. We're not voting here. This is just an informational sit down and consideration. We can do this again in a couple of weeks when you've had the chance to look over these charts and look over what you think would be the outcome as far as the raises are considered. But that's whatever you come up with in recommendations, not a vote, because we don't vote until it's budget time. But what you would come in with recommendations back to us would be what we would consider an overall raises for county employees to help them. I prefer to see them get a higher raise than what's necessary to increase the contribution per employee for their family side, spouse and kids. We've always tried to do at least 3% or 5% every year. Sometimes we've been a little bit higher in the last, 6 years. We just want to be fair about this, but at the same token, we don't want to sit here and drown in 5 years from now, go like, why didn't we fix this? We've known about it for the last 4 or 5 years or longer. It's pretty much time to fish and cut bait. Pretty much it. Sheriff, you had a question like that.
Kim brought it up, something, and I know that Harold and Wayne know more about the figures than I do and everything, but you brought it up, if you would take $500 off, I call the supplement to the deductible, and we had 500 employees, that paper-wise, because I know not everybody uses it, but that's $250,000 a year. And that would offset some, and maybe you could do that, plus go up a little bit on the I don't know. I know that throughout the county, if you check a lot of companies and everything, their deductibles are higher than what we have. You just don't see the $500 deductible, $1,000 deductible.
Well, the school's like 10,000.
Yeah, they have. And then they buy insurance to help offset it. But that might be an option of just taking $500 off the $1,500 and making $1,000 per family supplement, whatever you call it.
But wouldn't that cut to the employee only? Wouldn't that cut them down to only a $500 deductible?
Hey, Kim, I don't know if you can,
Yes.
if you can even have access to these numbers, but what's the the rate that those contributions are used at the end of the year on average? Because I know a lot of people don't use it all.
Is this Matthew?
Yes.
Okay. That's right. And what we can do is have Gallagher run maybe some models for the current year or maybe even the past complete calendar year of what would have happened if the county's contribution to the deductible were decreased. They can look at the actual numbers and then, run a model of what would have happened if, say, it were $500 less. And, we can ask them to do that and get back with us on what the effect that would be, because I can't really answer that question. I don't have that much access to claims to be able to tell you that, Matthew, to tell you the answer to that. But Gallagher can do that and let us know what it would look like if, say, instead of $1,000 that Liberty County contributes to each employee's deductible, it were $500, and instead of the $1,500 that the county contributes, it were $1,000. And they can look at that and say, this is what the effect would have been. So we can definitely have them take a look at that if that's what you would like to do.
Just an idea. Yeah, it's an interesting way to kind of split the baby on this issue.
That's right. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to try to go about it. And then, employees then would be able to make a contribution to their flexible spending account maybe to make up for the difference and then save money on their income taxes when they approach it that way. So, you know, it wouldn't be as bad if they made up for it that way. And we can run some models on it so you can see it on paper of what the actual effect would be to each employee if they utilize the county's contribution to their deductible, and what the effect would be if they made up for that difference on their like spending side, and if they didn't, and, you know, we can just kind of play with that and see what it looks like. Not sure if you guys can still hear me.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah.
But if you'd like for me to, I can ask Gallagher to run those numbers and see what it looks like. And so you'll just, when you come back together again, you'll have that information to look at.
Yeah, let's do that, Kim, and get with
Okay.
and me and Harold and Penny. Let's sit down together with Gallagher, look at the models, and that way it'll give us a better idea of what direction we need to go. The main thing is it's something we need to fix. We know we need to fix it.
Yeah.
Coverage is
Yeah.
just pouring on.
Okay.
And losing benefits, subsidized.
I got you. There's another hurdle. There's another hurdle. Yeah. Yeah.
Person that's up.
Well, we
So
need to,
that deduction was $7,000 in there, they just had 500. This doesn't make the same, it was just primary responsibility, primary insurance. So it's just-
Brother Rick, you got a question you think of?
Judge, the only thing I look at is this is just one of the tools that an individual should be looking at to take care of their own needs. And if the county's going to give us this, or they're going to take something away, if I'm going to end up needing it, I need to go find a supplement source to fulfill that. You know, so I can't expect the county to provide everything for me in insurance. Right now, you're paying $900, we're paying $26, you know, something like that. That's way out of balance. But again, it's always been proven that if you work for the county, you don't get paid a lot, but we give you a great benefit. And insurance is one of those benefits. So I understand that, but that is a big challenge. And if you get an actual COLA raise, your COLA, medical is a big part of your cost of living. So if you take care of COLA and factor in medical, you should be able to keep up with it from a logical way, not an emotional way of dealing with it. You know, and you just price that into it each year. And that comes off the top, whether you know, and you factor that in. We're trying to catch up now for something we haven't taken care of probably in a little while. But with these rising medical costs, it's something that the everyday person, it's a luxury to get what we have right now. And I think you're trying to keep it still a good benefit. And it's hard to, but I think it's something that we are helping our employees a lot. And the people that use it need to supplement it maybe. The people that don't use it aren't going to be affected by it. But we're trying to treat everybody the same. And I don't know if you can do that in this environment.
I'm just saying, you're not gonna be able to treat everybody the same, but I want to be fair.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. What's the fairest option that we have? Is there one?
And I think, like you said, it may be a step in that you have to do, but you're addressing it and you're taking it a little bit at a time. And then you're giving people enough options to plan their own, how they're going to cover that shortfall if it is. And then they have to do that, you know, and I think that's a fair approach to do.
Well, nobody went to work for Liberty County to get rich, okay? That's real simple. That's, yeah, they went to work here to get the retirement. It's just like working in the state of Texas. Worked there for 30 years, you get a retirement. It never was a good paying job. But well, when you finish the end of the road, it pays off.
And just one other point, Judge, I mean, I'm familiar with the Central Appraisal District's benefits. I sit on their board.
Yeah.
And I know we all share in a big part of that. We're one of the biggest contributors to the Central Appraisal District. But I think this year we're going to contribute about $1.3 million of their budget. And that's fair because that's based on the amount of valuations. I'm not saying that part, but a lot of their employees choose the HSA where they don't even get the insurance, and the actual Central Appraisal District pays for their medical savings account, health savings account. And it averages about 800 persons, what we're looking at for 2022, that they contribute to everyone. If it's more than that, they have to cover. If it's less than that, they get a windfall. But if they don't use it, it stays in that account. It's kind of like our 1,500 stays if you don't use it. I don't know, I'm not trying to change our whole insurance deal, but that is something that they have done over the years, and then it's working for them. So we might reach out to them to see, some of that information.
Penny, you got anything? You sit over here looking like you got a question or you got a good answer.
Who, me? No,
Yeah.
I'm saying several options.
Them can't hear you.
Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
The employee only, I mean, they're always going to pay less for the same benefit. So, I mean, I know in like at the hospital setting, or, I've worked for several hospitals, you do pay more when you have more dependents. That's just the way it is fair. You end up paying, with families, with a spouse and dependents, you do pay more than that person that's a single employee. So I just feel like if we can continue with the raises for now to cover and onset some of that cost, that we should try to keep it the same as long as we can. That's just the way I feel. Because it's not going to be fair. Like the judge said, you can't really make it fair unless you're paying for what you're getting. So you can't make a single employee to pay as much as a family and children and dependents. It just doesn't work that way. So, and I'll tell you the truth also, a lot of the single employees they're not even using the benefits. So, we're saving a lot of money. Typically those individuals aren't using the benefits more than the others do. So, I feel like if we can continue with the raises and to offset that cost, then it does add to our retirement. I do feel like we can look at Gallagher giving us some estimates on maybe cutting back on the deductible contribution, the county side, that might help level it out also. But once you start getting into private insurances, it's a whole different ball of wax. You may end up paying more for less coverage.
I agree.
So you can look on.
well, one thing we've got to consider, we start messing with the deductibles. We all know the cost of drugs these days and prescriptions.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So,
I mean, most counties and most companies, major companies, they don't offer anything towards your deductible. I mean, you choose the health savings account or you just pay your deductible. So that's just something that we have been blessed to have, actually. But most major corporations and most counties, they don't just give you money towards your deductible every year. So, if we did cut it by half, or it may make a pretty good impact. And then we raise what we can for this year, including the raises to onset the cost. I think it might make a pretty good difference. At least we're moving in the right direction without taking too much away. from everybody at this point. We're still, you know, I think it's a happy medium. We're still giving them some money towards the deductible, and then they can offset it with the health savings accounts if they want. And then we are still able to give them a raise and maybe a little bit over. And I know this, the employee only option, they may make more money. They might keep more of their raise, but they're not, you know, they're not utilizing the services like some of the others are with the, you know, the dependents and the family. So that's just kind of the way it works when you're only one versus a family employee and dependents. So they may have to be able to keep a little bit more of their raise, but at least the other ones, it's not coming straight out of their costs.
All right, Kim, you want to give
Right,
Jack?
I think Penny's, I think Penny's exactly right. I don't know. I mean, I obviously don't know how many companies, governments, entities out there are making the kind of contribution that Liberty County is making toward the deductibles. But I can tell you the history on that. The reason that happened is because we progressed from the $400 deductible to the $3,000 deductible. And those amounts that the county contributes were the buffer. You see what I'm saying? We, you know, instead of jumping from $400 to $3,000 on the deductible, the county provided a buffer for employees who needed to utilize, you know, who were going to utilize that insurance and have to pay that $3,000 premium. They offered that buffer up to help with that. So, you know, that's just the history of it.
Well, moving in the right direction, you know, we did $25 plus last year. And that wasn't enough to take care of it. And we can be progressive about this and do a little bit more each year until we get it balanced out right. I think it would be very unfair to hit them all at one time to correct it. But we need to find a spot somewhere in the middle of the road where it's going to work better and not be as painful. Lee?
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Okay, last year, when we did our increases in the insurance, right? It was across the board, everybody had the same increase. And then we did a percentage cost of living increase to cover the cost of them. The problem is not everybody makes the same amount of money. So if you're an employee making $30,000 a year, that 3% was what, about $900?
Yep.
Okay, let's say you're covering your family, that was 60. I mean, basically they didn't get a raise. In fact, some people actually saw a decrease because of changes in taxes or whatever. So they actually made less money. They didn't get any increase last year. If we're going to do an employee increase, and it's going to be the same across the board, but our cost of living increase is a percentage, what you're going to have is, let's say, somebody who's making $100,000, they're going to get a $3,000 pay increase, but they're only going to be paying, like, you know, $900 more in insurance. They're getting a raise.
It's not going to be fair for everybody,
The
no matter
people
what.
at the bottom aren't getting a raise, they're losing money. So if we don't make the percentage increase, if we don't make the increases percentage of pay, and we make the cost of living percentage of pay, then it's going to come out unfair, and the people that are going to be carrying the burden of this are the low-paying people.
Well, we're not looking at a percentage COLA on this. We're looking at real numbers. If we're going to do this, we're going to look at each individual person or each department and give a substantial raise to offset it.
Okay, so we
But
can
no
do
matter
something
what
that's not going to be
happens-
based on percentages, because that's where they got screwed last year.
I know, but no matter what happens, you're still going to have daddy that works for Exxon and mama that works for the county. Mama's carrying the entire family. Daddy's got his insurance Exxon. He's bringing home a fat check. Mama's not getting anything because all of her money goes toward insurance. It just pretty much looks that way. And we have something like that.
But I have 3 employees that work second jobs.
Yep.
You know, so not make, and you've got to understand, I mean, it's just not the same increase depending on what level of pay you're at, you know. 3% for us is great. 3% at a $30,000 a year salary is not. and it barely covers what you're asking them to pay more of.
But we're looking
So
at
they're
those.
actually going down, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're looking at those.
They're growing at this rate, we're growing at this rate, and it's not even reflective of cost of living, they're just losing money. So
Well, the
I'm
old
just
saying is-
asking you to address that this year.
The old saying is life's not fair, but it is negotiable.
Okay,
Okay.
as long as we can work on it.
Dwayne?
Yeah.
Dwayne,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
In your opinion, based on being the numbers man, do you think that $100 across the board would be sufficient for us?
We all wanting to do it on just employees that have a spouse on? Or employees-
I'm talking Dwayne, I'm talking $100 across the board. Employee only, I'm talking employee spouse, I'm talking employee, spouse, and family. I'm $100 across the board. I don't want, I will tell you all this right now. I'm not for messing with the deductibles. I'm just not. The cost of medications these days is eating us up as it stands. And it's eating the employees up as it stands. But do you think $100 across the board, Dwayne, would be sufficient?
It would, you know, I mean, that would roughly bring in $500,000 a year.
What about the county contributed to? You talk about increasing both of them.
I'm bringing, I was really recommending bringing in $500,000.
$100 would do it.
Just on the voice.
Anyway, this, like I said, this is just the first go around, guys. We're not through this by any means. Kim can get some numbers from Gallagher. We can look at some options. The main thing we want to do, and we always try to do, is be fair to the employee. I mean, we know this job is what it is. A lot of folks came here for the benefits, the insurance. They know the pay was not going to be what it is in the free world, period. But we try to make it as best we can. So anyway, y'all have the gist of the option, or actually the conversation. But I hope you sit down and put your heads together and come up with some plans, even working, with us, with the insurance committee. Just throw some ideas out our way. I'm not kidding. When we walk off in the courtroom to pass this budget, we don't need to be arguing that day. We need to be arguing now. And even if it is even an argument, it's going to be more of a, what's best, what can we do best to help the employee, period. So I'm not saying it's an argument. I'm saying it's a conversation. Anybody else? Chief? Oh, yeah. All right, well, come on up here. I can't hear you.
Get a package in the mail every month called an EOB, explanation of benefits. And for, I don't know how long we've got them, but I can say for 24 years that I've been at the county, I've thrown any paperwork away that I got about the insurance. Didn't ever look at it, didn't care. I had the insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. I went for a prescription here a while back and money, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, this ain't supposed to cost me any money. So I get in an argument with the lady at Walgreens in Dayton. I pay for it out of my pocket. I'll find out what's going on later. come to find out, we paid a hospital in Chicago, Illinois, $15,000 out of my account for somebody up in Illinois. If it wouldn't have been for that, I wouldn't have called that. They would have made that $15,000. So I started watching my EOB and found out that my daughter or anybody in my family has not ever been to Illinois, nor even have an intent to go there.
Yeah.
But the hospital there verified that she was there, and Blue Cross paid $15,000, or the county did, because we're self-insured. So we paid that money. Had I not called that, then it made the $15,000 off our back. So once I went through this process and found this out, this happens quite a bit. I found that out. This happens quite a bit. So they don't verify our insurance good enough to say, hey, is this you in the hospital? Because this woman stayed there, not the same race, not nowhere near the same age, does not live in the same state, but we wrote them a check. I think if we do a little bit better verification, or Blue Cross does, we may save some money in the long run.
Actually, that's on Blue Cross.
It is,
Yeah.
but it was on me to investigate it and figure it out, that this is what was going on. But it still costs the county money, because we're still paying those claims. And like I said, my understanding is I am not the only one, or my daughter is not the only victim in the county that had her insurance used. There's quite a few of them. That's only the ones that have been called. And you know, other than that, there's no telling how many other claims have been paid out of my account just because I don't watch it. The other part I have on that is our clinic. I think it's a great thing. I use it. I mean, my kids use it. I have a family plan. I have 2 kids. I'm a dad, a single dad with 2 kids on my plan. And they use the clinic. I think that's a great deal myself personally. I don't know if we push it enough for the employees to use it.
I think it's pretty much recognized by every employee that it's there.
I think so too. And I love the idea. It works out great. But I do know that there's some other people that absolutely won't go there and rather they go to Patients ER in Baytown just to get in, even though we've got a priority there. But I think maybe if that was pushed a little bit more too, that may be where more people go to it. That would also be a savings for the county also. Well,
Okay. That's just part of the education process for the employees to know it's there to be able to use it. We do our best to make sure.
that's all I got.
Okay, all right. Kim, you got anything? She's muted. I don't blame her for being muted right now.
I think on $100, raise it up, spread it out over the employee spouses, employee children, employee family, even our employees alone. I think it's going to be a much better benefit for the employees, not as well as on their dependents, but at least if it's spread it out, we have 377 dependents versus 407 employees. Something like that, we're going.
How would that?
I just, at this point, don't, we're, like I say, you come to work for the county for the benefits. And as a single employee that doesn't have dependents, this is, you're going to grow your family enough, but you're expected to pay for your dependents. Any private who is working for Joe Blow on the road, you're going to pay more for your dependents. I think it's expected to pay more. Yes.
You have to evaluate the age situation. And you have to figure out what the needs are per.
That way, with the raises that we're going to give the employees are actually getting, although the dependents, everybody is not, this is not going to be fair for everybody. I mean, people with a lot of family, with children, but they're expected to pay more.
The only way it would be fair for everybody is we went through each individual employee
Yeah.
and looked at what their pay scale is, and whatever the increase, yeah, and work it out that way. Yeah.
It'll actually calculate how much.
Yeah.
When you put it dependent on it, it'll tell you this is how much more you're gonna pay, this is how much. So that offsets the cost for everybody. And they are gonna pay a little bit more for dependent care. Now, would your raise on that individual reflect those costs? That's what you need to look at versus an employee only paying for their insurance, with their raise be as much as this person to offset the cost. So you're really doing it on the raise side and not on the insurance.
That'd be in a perfect world. Can you imagine the hell raising that would go on if you did that on an individual basis? Somebody that's saying works for Lee, you know, all of a sudden they're a clerk and all of a sudden they're making 45,000 a year. But the same person next to that one doing, you know, because that person's carrying themselves and their spouse and their kids. And then the one that's doing the same work making 30,000 a year because they're just insuring themselves only. You know.
That's what she was saying about last year. We did the 3% on the cost. And
Yeah.
that's why some of the employees were not
They're
making
not.
a raise.
Right.
Because it was just cut and dry percentage for everybody. And it just doesn't work based on what you're paying. in
Yeah.
your benefits.
But this time we're looking at a more substantial raise beyond a 3% or 5% to offset the increase with the employee contribution. So that's what we have to get our heads together and everybody, you know, what's your feelings?
I do think it's-
Hey, Jay.
Judge, Judge, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think I was muted when you called on me a few seconds ago, but I'll get with Gallagher and ask them to run some models of what would have happened if the deductible were different, and, you know, some models on $100 change and all the things that y'all have talked about today. And then we can come back and see what those projections would look like.
Be sure and tell them that they got about a month and a half to figure it out.
Right. Okay.
Well, let's meet back again. What do you think? 2 weeks? Give about 2 weeks into this month. And let's meet back and put our heads together one more time, because version 1 of the budget's out like we had to do is required. The second one that comes out is going to be closer to the real deal, okay? And the main goal is when we go in there to actually pass the budget, there's no argument time, it's done. Nothing worse, get there and have everybody arguing about it, we just revert back to the previous budget, simply that's the law. We don't want to have that. All right? All right, anybody got anything? David, you got anything? Leon?
I'm good.
Good, all right. Ken, you good? She muted again, that's all.
I'm good. I'm good, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank y'all. We'll go ahead and dismiss.
Ah.